Welcome to the Cross the Line podcast. My name is Carlos Smith, and today's episode is sponsored by Big Ben Dessert. Today, I have another special guest with me today. He is an all-star selection from the East Coast Basketball League. Plays for the Let It Fly Web Dogs, Mr. Khalid Wannamaker. How you doing?
Good, you.
I can't complain, man. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me. First off, let me say congratulations on your all-star selection. So, how does that feel to be recognized by your peers?
It's a blessing come true. Put in a lot of hard work and dedication to it. Just continue to put in the work, and we'll just go from there.
So, for people watching this that may not know, you probably have some more insight to it than I do. But what exactly is the East Coast Basketball League?
It's like a league that runs up and down the East Coast. A lot of good teams, get you good looks, possibly go overseas, NBA G League, get college scouts. Had a lot of good benefits from it. It's a good opportunity for young kids like me that didn't really have the opportunity to go somewhere to get back on track.
Mm-hmm. So these guys that you go up against, these are, college athletes or guys that's coming back from overseas, or the guys that are in the league. Like where do they come from?
It's kind of a mix of a lot. We got some, like I'm gonna mention Sean Barnett. Kind of went overseas, played in the G League, played a couple places. Good college scouts. Got college players from all over, and then you got people like me that just got good talent but never really had the opportunity to play.
So how did you actually become part of the league? Like, were you just playing like recreation ball, and then you seen the opportunity come open? Like, how did you actually become a part of
me and my longtime friend Dominique Quiller was talking about getting a team together, and I'd say about 3 or 4 years ago, and then about 2021 is when we actually started it. That was like our little pro-am team. That then around this time, during the beginning of the year, we finally got a team together, and then we put it together and went from there.
So did y'all play like all year round, or was it just like you just finding like different leagues to join at first? Like, how was all of that? Because I know you said y'all came together and put the idea together, but like how did y'all piece everything together? Was it just going from just finding like little games to just play in, or just like finding different leagues? Like how was it?
Played in a couple. I didn't play in a couple of different leagues, but the team as a whole played in a couple of leagues. Played in the Malden League, a couple of Charlotte Pro-Am games, and I believe a couple of games around the city. So just a little bit everywhere.
So you guys just wrapped up your first season in the East Coast Basketball League. Now that you've had a little bit of time to reflect, like, how did you view overall like your first season as a team being in this league?
We didn't accomplish everything we wanted to do first year. It was a lot of up and downs. Had to keep finding new players, different schemes. But as a whole, it was a good experience. Great comeback. Fought through a lot of up and downs. As a whole, it felt like it went good.
I saw where you averaged 34 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists on 50% shooting. Looking at those numbers, those are MVP caliber numbers, especially like in any league that you play in. Did you ever get to a point where you're going into these games where you just thinking about trying to keep your numbers up that way for any kind of notoriety or anything, or was it just more about just focusing on the game and helping your team win?
I would say focusing on the game. Throughout the game, it just came naturally. Just being, the primary scorer of the team, and just going through the offense, those numbers just kind of came naturally. But I wouldn't say I ever wanted to keep the numbers up. They just kind of came naturally.
When I watch you guys' games, the games that I covered, I always felt like, like you said, you could pick your spots throughout the game, and there might be times where you may need to be more aggressive to keep you guys into these games and whatnot. Did the guys on the team ever just tell you, hey, don't worry about us, just go get your numbers and help us get to the finish line, or they just were there points where they told you to be more aggressive?
Kind of more points they told me to be more aggressive. Sometimes I would come too passive, kind of make a little error here and there, just trying to make the right read and thinking too much about it. But most of it just kind of be more aggressive and, help us get the win.
Let's go back a little bit. So where did you actually? So you born and raised? I think you were showing me the jerseys for another upcoming game. So you're born and raised here in Spartanburg?
Yes, sir. Born and raised.
Mm-hmm. So what position did you play in high school?
I would say 2 and 3 mostly.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of the 4, but never played the 1 and 5.
Mm-hmm. And I was gonna ask you because for you guys for the Web Dogs, you did run point quite often. Did you feel more comfortable playing at a particular position, like the 2 or the 3, or even at the 1? Like, did you have like a particular position that you feel more comfortable playing?
I probably feel more comfortable at the 2, 3. Just working off ball, but playing the 1 just kind of helped me get a feel of getting my teammates involved. Open up the court for everybody else, and then after getting them involved, you can't double anybody. So after that, I can work out and get my own space and get shots up like that.
When you guys first joined this league, like what initially was like your intentions? Was it to just play for the love of the game, or were you just looking for other opportunities to continue to play like at the collegiate level?
I would say kind of both. I just love the game, just love playing, but at the same time, I know with my talent I can play at the next level overseas or collegiate and see what I could do, take it to the next level from there.
After high school, did you have like any ideas? Like, did you graduated from Spartanburg? Did you go play college ball right away after that, or was it like you took a little break before trying to figure out like your next move?
I went to college after high school. I went to JUCO. I was on the team, but I didn't play because I didn't get to finish the year out, so it didn't count towards my eligibility. So you could kind of say I took a break in between, and then just kind of worked through the off season, got my body together, and just stayed in shape.
What did that your brief stint at JUCO? What did you learn from that overall experience? Because now you're playing with and against other guys. So the guys that you practice against, these are some of the best players on their old high school teams as well. So now y'all are all together, kind of like putting together like another all-star team with all you guys being the best from your high school teams. What experience did you take away from that while you were still at JUCO?
I would say, as being the best player coming from high school and then joining a college with more best players from the old high school, you just got to find different ways to impact the game. Everybody can't be the number 1 scorer, and, everybody can't average 30, so just impact the game off playing defense, playmaking, even being on the bench, on the last person on the bench, you're clapping your teammates, cheering on. Mm-hmm. Just finding different ways to pick your teammates up and then impact the game off that.
What did it do for you mentally, being in that type of position? Like you're saying, like in high school, like one of the best guys on your team, but now you're competing with the best of the best. Like, did it do anything to you mentally? Like, man, these guys are just as good as I am, or maybe a little bit quicker or faster than I am, or jump a little bit more athletic. Like, what did they do anything to you mentally? Going up against some of these guys that are playing at a high level.
It was kind of mentally challenged. You got to stay with it. It's gonna be ups and downs. Don't get too depressed or trying to deprive yourself to go up against these guys. Just stay with it, compete, and then just see what you can take it from there.
Would you say that you're more of a because for me, just being around you, the times that I've been around you and having conversation with you, you to me you're very humble. Like I said, you're not overly aggressive. But would you say you're more of a lead by example type player, or more of like a vocal leader, like when you're in the huddle?
Lead by example, but as from playing in the ECBL, if I want to go to the next level, got to become more vocal. So as over time, I get better, but as of right now, lead by example.
So we were speaking earlier about some other opportunities. You said putting up the numbers you're putting up, it definitely helps you get recognized. What are some opportunities that came about that you can share as far as like scholarship-wise, going to playing at another level? What are some things that would have been coming your way?
I would say, let's see. As far as scholarships, I got a couple of them. Taking it day by day. Don't want to make a decision too fast, but in some sense, I don't want to waste too much time.
Right.
and then just hopefully can get the best opportunity I can get.
Hmm. Um, how does that go about? Well, this process being in this league, do you take your footage and send it out, or these scouts coming to the games, or how are they? Or does the league do anything to like help promote you guys as well, as far as like helping you get those scholarships?
Um, you kind of take your own footage, and you can make your own highlight tape, or you can get a cameraman to make it for you. You send it out, but depending on some teams, some teams got bigger names, bigger sponsors. Scouts come to their games and see what they have. But for me, I had to kind of get my own tape, send it out because we're a first year team, so we didn't really have the scouting and the recruitment and sponsors of all that. But for the most part, it just kind of, in between. And then they have awards, pages, and, put you out for recognition and stuff like that. So kind of a little bit of everything.
Can you share a little bit about some of the teams, like you're saying, some teams that have been interested in you? Because I think it's great for the league to let guys know who maybe want to get another second chance or another run at, playing at the collegiate level or overseas. I think it helps benefit the league overall if you could just share some of the teams or schools that you're potentially looking at.
I would say, I've been talking to Georgia Southern, Cleveland Community, Gardner Webb is coming up, Johnson C. Smith, a couple more schools. ECBL, if you want to go to the next level, great start, help you get to the next level, and then you just got to put in the work and stay dedicated.
When you get ready to make your decision, what are some things that you look for as far as like a school that fits you and your needs?
I would say just the culture, surroundings. I always look at the surroundings, make sure I want to put myself in a bad environment, people around me. I'm not really too picky off people, but, just don't want to put myself around the bad people, be in the wrong spot at the wrong time type stuff, and then just go from there.
Have you, do you have a school in particular that you're leaning more towards, even though the decision may not be final just yet, but is it one that you're kind of like starting to lean more towards, and like what are the things that they're offering you?
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards a certain school. Went down there to a visit. I saw the campus. Coaches is pretty. I like the coaches. Players is good. Nice facility. Coaches. It's a brotherhood and family over there.
Who would you say? Before I ask you that question, like back to the season with the ECBL, what would you say was like probably like the hardest part of the season for you?
I would say probably the midst of the season. After around the first 5 games, it started to get a little, irritating and hard just because of all the up and downs we was going through as a team, but just didn't give up and stayed with it and kept fighting.
Yeah, you played a heavy amount of minutes. Did that help you as well as far as like the benefits of all that condition? Do you feel like that's was it more conditioning as opposed to playing at a JUCO, or like how do you compare like that conditioning for you?
I feel like playing a lot of minutes, heavy load. I feel like it helped me a lot. For me, my entire life I've been playing kind of heavy minutes, so I was pretty used to it. But it was an NBA game format, so around about after the first round, about 2 or 3 games, I got used to it, and we just went from there and kind of stayed with it.
The games that I was at, like I was saying, you guys had to juggle different rotations. Some guys may not be able to make it at every game. How do you view that as like playing with different rotations and plugging different guys in in different places? Do you feel like that helped you grow as a player? Just playing with different guys and still trying to learn and get a feel for them. Mixing up these different rotations. Do you feel like they kind of helped you out as a player as well?
Pretty much, yeah. I would say that. Playing with a lot of different rotations and players, not only helped me, but as a team it helped us. Sometimes I might be in a different position. Might not always be at the 2, 3, or sometimes the 1. Might have to play the 4. It just helped me be a team player, better overall. different rotations, and sometimes I might not be a scorer, might impact the game off being a defender, playmaker, scrappy guy, just all sorts.
I saw a post not long ago showing where you had a game where you dropped like 51 points. Talk about your mindset going into that game, and like what was going through your mind is like as you were going through it and you dropped 51 points. Like talk about that overall game and your mindset.
Going through that on the ride down there is what kind of got me motivated.
And what y'all play at?
King Street. We played Bishop. We was supposed to play at Bishopville Devils. We was supposed to play at Bishopville, but it got moved to King Street, about 30 minutes from Bishopville.
Oh, okay, so that's probably about a good 2.5, 3 hour ride. Yeah, I've been down there before. Yep.
But it was the drive that got me motivated. We was already shorthanded. We didn't have a lot of our top players. Injuries, just due to unavailability. Went down there around about 7 players. Just wanted to be aggressive, try to do as much as possible to help our team win, and then also keep my teammates involved and get the rebounds and assists, make a lot.
Did you even know at that time, like, because clearly you had to be like in the zone? Did you know kind of like you were getting close to pushing, like once you hit 40 or 45, 50? Did you understand like, okay, I got a certain amount of points? Did you understand like that you were right at 50, 51 points?
I would say probably second half, third quarter, third and fourth actually. I would probably say I knew I had to be somewhere between 40, 45, and 50s. First half I probably had around 20, maybe 15 or so, but second half was where I really turned it up, and then probably about halfway through the fourth I realized I had around about 40, 50.
Post game, what do your peers say about you? Because clearly they see the numbers that you're putting up. Do you feel like they go into these games like trying to strategize against particularly slowing you down when you're putting up these type of numbers?
I don't want to sound cocky, but sometimes I would say so. Just off how when the game starts, how they defend me. They'll throw 2 or 3 bodies at me, switch up and go to a zone. Full court press. Sometimes even a boxing one. So sometimes I feel like in some games they strategize to contain me and then live with the rest of the results.
Do these guys like give you a lot of props like post game, just like because of all the work that you're doing? How do you feel like your peers' reception is towards you?
I feel like it's mutual respect. Post game, I get a lot of love from the players, coaches, fans from opposing teams. There's never been a time where I went to a game and the other team said anything bad about me. So for the most part, it's been mutual respect and love.
What do you feel like you've improved most as a player, like overall for this whole season? Like, what do you feel like you've improved the most?
Being a team player, becoming a better playmaker than I was originally. I would kind of say I've always been good at scoring and defending, but I feel like I took a big leap from on the defensive end this year.
Mm-hmm. Who would you say, if it's a player in the league that you would say you kind of like now or in the past kind of like pattern your game after? What player would you say that would be that you kind of like pattern your game after?
I would say probably a mixture of Paul George, KD, and Damian Lillard.
You don't think he the GOAT though, do you? Paul George, because you.
Nah, my GOAT is KD. So.
KD,
yes,
yeah. Because I was gonna say Brandon Miller when they asked him about, he plays for the Hornets now, and they was asking him about his GOAT debate, like who the GOAT was, and he said Paul George. Which is somebody I wouldn't think of. Like, I mean, he's a really good player, but
don't have the accolades on statistics to meet up to the standards.
And plus, it's all about like the time that he was born. So Brandon Miller, he's probably about what 19,
18.
20. Yeah, so he didn't get a chance. He didn't see Michael Jordan play. Or when Kobe was playing, he kind of like he saw Kobe growing as he got older. But it's all about that age group that you're in. So like now that he's able to see like Paul George play consistently and still play now, it's all about that age group. So I mean, I wouldn't say Paul George is good, but he's definitely a really good player. But KD, Paul George, those definitely are some good comparisons. Um, Talking a little bit about the All-Star game before we transition, we're gonna talk some more hoops. I want to just get your opinion on a few different things. Like, do you know how did the voting process go? Was it like players, coaches? Like, what do you know what went into like the voting process for the All-Star game?
I believe it was a collective of players and coaches. I'm not really too sure, but I know the coaches had an insight on it. I believe some players around too, but I feel like it was a kind of a collective process. And then I was notified about maybe a week ago that I was attending it. So,
What was that feeling like when you got that call or message that you were gonna be in that All-Star game?
it was a dream come true. I never personally been a part of an All-Star game because growing up we didn't have that around in middle school and high school. But playing at the next level, semi-pro, so for the first year, it was a dream come true.
And you also said you were right before we got started. You were in the running for league rookie of the year as well. Talk a little bit about that. How does that feel? Being nominated for that as well.
It's another opportunity in disguise. Worked so hard for these moments. Just trying to make it out. Put a name for myself. Put a name for the city. Get us on the map. It's a lot of good talent out here. Not only I can do this, but it's a lot of other good kids. So.
Is the All-Star? So the All-Star game is July the 8th.
Yes, sir.
Is it any? Are they doing like any other events like a dunk contest, 3-point?
All-Star game. All-Star game is at 5. Coaches game, I believe, at 3. 3-point contest and awards. They give out awards, I think, too. 3-point contest is at 3. No, 4, and then they do awards in between, kind of. And then it's about a 5-6 hour event, so it's pretty much a lot. But I don't believe it's a dunk contest though.
Do they have the rosters finalized as far as like who's on which
Yes,
players on each teams for the All-Star game?
Yes, sir.
So is there anybody that you see on your roster that you're familiar with or you may look forward to playing with? Is there anybody that you have in mind?
Nah, not really. I'm not too really. I would say probably 1, maybe 2, but for the most part, I ain't really talked to any of them because I didn't know anybody in that league since I was a first year player. So,
what do you want to get out of that experience? Going to that All-Star game on July 8th. What do you ultimately want to come from that overall experience?
Obviously, I do want to win it. Maybe get MVP, try to win the 3-point contest, but for the most part, just going out there having fun, enjoying this event. Can't get it back. Once it happens, it's over. Just go out there and have a good time and make it a memorable night.
So after the All-Star game, I know you, of course, you still love the game of basketball. Like, what's next after that? Is it playing in different leagues, or is it just strictly about preparing to go play ball at the collegiate level?
I would say just working in the off season, preparing for the collegiate level. Or whomever I may go to, lifting weights, staying in shape, but also still playing in leagues. So skills to stay sharpened.
Let's. I want to switch gears a little bit, and just like let you talk about the game of basketball overall and like the stuff that's going on in the NBA. But starting out, you talking about some of the guys you played in your game after. Would you say who was your overall favorite player?
Kevin Durant.
KD. Like, what makes you? Is it just the score, like the scoring machine of KD? Like, what makes him so special to you, and what make him stand out as your favorite player?
Well, I've been watching KD since college, since he came from, I believe, Texas.
Yeah.
So since then I've been watching him. Obviously it's the scoring, the style of his game, just not flashy, just straight to the point, mentality. Not too much talking, just all about business. So that's how I pretty much.
Did you feel any type of way when he decided to leave OKC and go to Golden State, joining that team?
Not really, but then again, in some sense, I did want him to win with OKC, considering that it was up 3-1.
Right.
Then again, you got to do what's best for you. It's a business at the end of the day. There's no loyalty in the business. So.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's still a business. If these teams want to move on from you, they'll move you without even giving you a heads up at times. But a player like KD, he definitely going to have, like, control of, like, what moves he want to make. It was surprising, but I mean, I get it. I mean, you want to win because, like you said, nowadays they'll bash you for saying, "Well, you were a great player, but you didn't get a ring."
Win, right.
So now that he has 2 rings, it's almost like they like, "Yeah, well, you got 2 rings, but you had to go to state to give." So it's almost like a lose-lose situation
Right.
for KD. Now they still in a prime position now with another chance with KD and picking up Bradley Beal. How do you feel about? What do you think about going into next season as far as like KD and Phoenix? I know that's your guy, so what do you think is going to happen for them? It's still a lot to be played out because of free agency. Will be starting up soon, but some of the moves that have been made, like what do you think is going on for Phoenix?
They're not in too much of a bad spot, but in some sense, that Bradley Beal trade did, take up a lot of cap space.
Yeah.
With the contract that he was on with the Wizards, so I would say, the trade is okay, but me personally, I didn't like the trade. I would have, kept Chris Paul and then kind of signed more role players such as Dylan Brooks for defense because that's what they need desperately right now. Mm-hmm. Another big man, DeAndre Ayton's okay, but
inconsistent.
You want a big man that's gonna play with heart and integrity. So
right,
but hopefully they can get it done with the roster they got now. But I don't really see it. Lack of depth, no defense, no bench players.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard for them. I think a lot of people just look at the names instead of like looking at the actual overall team. They just focus on like the star players. Like KD, Book, and Bradley Beal, they're gonna get you buckets. But like you said, it's a long season, so you still like once one person gets injured, like who's gonna pick up that slack?
Right.
So it's a lot that goes into building a team, but most people only focus on like the key players of their team. So I think they got a good chance. Me personally, I had an interview with my friend KB a couple weeks ago, and one of my predictions, I felt like I think what they should do is, because I do think Chris Paul is like on the downside now, which he's still an all-time great player, point guard. I was like, I went out on a limb and just saying maybe you move Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton and get Damian Lillard and Nurkic.
Right.
But that look like it's not going to happen now because Chris Paul is in Golden State. But I think Phoenix, they still got to add a couple more pieces. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see when free agency, plays out. Right now, I still like, to a certain degree, I still probably would say, even though I don't like Golden State picking up Chris Paul, to me that didn't make sense. But if those teams just went head to head, I think I would still lean towards Golden State if they can bring back Draymond, because you still got Chris Paul, Clay, Steph. But I don't know if I would consider either one of them the favorite over Denver coming out the West right now. But like I said, it's still a lot to be played out in the season. Give me your list of I like to get different people's opinions on, especially guys who pay attention to the league. Give me your top 5 guys in the league right now.
Currently?
Yeah, currently.
I'm gonna go based off, just because KD my player. I'm gonna go based off, rankings. Realistically, I would put obviously Jokic at 1. I put Giannis at 2. Put Curry at 3. I'm putting KD at 5. I'm not leaving him out my top 5, and then maybe I'll throw either Bron or Luka at 4. Maybe Embiid toss up between those 3.
Yeah,
but that's kind of my top 5.
Yeah, I can't knock that at all. I still, man.
It switch up every other week or so.
Yeah,
depending on how
really
players playing.
And it's almost like, these guys, all of them are great players, but they still may not be as great in certain areas. Like Jokic is great offensively. He can pass the ball and everything, but he's not the greatest defender.
Right.
Giannis can defend, but he's not a great shooter.
Right.
Steph is a sharp shooter, but he's not the greatest defender, even though, he's active on defense, but, he doesn't have the size to guard bigger guards or bigger wingmen. So it's just all like who you prefer. I think, man, given the season that Jokic had, man, I can't argue with that. I probably still have Steph slightly over Giannis. Then I probably put Giannis 3, KD, LeBron, like you said, KD, LeBron, man, Luka.
There's a lot of ways you can go with.
Yeah, it's a lot of different ways that you can go with with these top 5 guys, man. But as we get ready to wrap this interview up, though, what I like to do, as far as when I have guests on, when I travel and interview entrepreneurs, I always like to ask, what does self-investment mean to you? And definitely want to get your opinion on it because you're a guy, you played ball at the collegiate level, at the JUCO. Didn't go the way you wanted it to, so you stuck with it. Now you're still on your journey of doing your own thing. You're playing in the ECBL. Now you have another opportunity, go play at the collegiate level again. So what I love to ask everybody at the end of the Cross the Line podcast is, what does self-investment mean to you?
I'm still in the midst of it, It's definitely a great thing to do, Build money off your own name, and possibly start your own business, regardless of which way you go. As of me, I'm obviously athlete within the basketball industry, so definitely should consider doing that. Obviously want to try to go any other route. You want to build money off your name, make a name for yourself, and see how far you can go with it.
Do you, before we wrap it up, do you recommend the ECBL? Like, if somebody may want to get some more information, and I know me and Dominique, we're gonna do something else later on down the line. But as far as like guys that see this interview and they want an opportunity, to compete and go against some more guys, and for an opportunity to play at another level, like, what kind of advice would you give those guys that may be watching this interview that want to still compete at the high level?
I would say if not already at the collegiate level, if you're still trying to get there, definitely I would say take a look at the ECBL. But definitely a great look. It's a lot of great competition, great platform, a lot of love and culture, nothing but family over there. But you definitely want to take it to the next level. ECBL is a great look. If you don't have any other options in mind, it's not a bad option. So definitely would consider looking to it.
Absolutely. Khalid, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it. Before we get out of here, can you tell everybody how they can find you and continue to support you on your journey?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, I don't really be on Twitter or Snapchat like that, but if you guys want to find me on Instagram, _.Khalid0 is where I be at, and then that's where I pretty much be at.
Absolutely, Khalid. Thank you for your time. Good luck at the All-Star game. Congratulations on the League Rookie of the Year nomination as well. And we'll definitely be staying in touch, man, and looking forward to seeing you more on your journey. Thank you again.
Yes, sir. Appreciate
so
it.
Hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode of the Cross the Line podcast. Till next time, keep chasing your dreams. Thank you for listening.
Khalid Wannamaker, play for the Let It Fly Whip Dogs. Tune in to Cross the Line podcast.